Today on the Leadership Initiative, you are going to have a treat as we listen to Inky Johnson teaching us what he learned through his own valleys of despair and adversity and trial when life turned on a dime and took an unexpected turn. How do you handle life when life takes its unexpected turn?
At InitiativeOne, we're igniting a leadership revolution by helping organizations eliminate the drama, improve decision-making, and win as a team. Join Dr. Fred Johnson on the Leadership Initiative podcast as we uncover insights to maximize your impact and transform your life.
Welcome to the Leadership Initiative. I'm Dr. Fred Johnson. I'm the founder of InitiativeOne. Today, I promise you that you are going to be inspired and moved. We have a very special guest, and we are delighted to introduce to you Inky Johnson. Before I do that, let me share a few things about Inky. Inky attended the University of Tennessee on a football scholarship where he played defensive back. He became a 3-year letterman and a 2-year team captain. In September of 2006, in a game against Air Force, he sustained a catastrophic injury that paralyzed his right arm. This moment ended his dreams of playing in the NFL, but it became a pivotal event in his life that launched his new life's mission. In fact, his mission has become so powerful that I would suggest that his career in the NFL would not have begun to even touch the impact that he's having now. Despite his injury, Inky Johnson completed his degree in political science in 2007. He went on to earn a master's in sports psychology in 2009. These academic pursuits deepened his understanding of performance, resilience, and leadership. He has transformed his personal tragedy, what was a burden, into a blessing for hundreds of thousands of people. It's a story of perseverance and hope. He became a national motivational speaker. He addresses sports teams, Fortune 500 companies, schools, and faith groups. He also launched the podcast Serendipity with Inky Johnson, where he shares life lessons and interviews guests. His speaking career has made him one of the most respected voices in our nation on leadership, trust, and purpose. You are going to be moved by what Inky has to say. Inky, it is our pleasure to welcome you as our guest on the Leadership Initiative. Welcome.
I'm so honored. Thank you so much for the introduction, as well as the time. It means a lot. I'm just honored to be on with you. Thank you so much.
Well, your humility is, I shared prior to coming on the air, his humility just leaps across the airwaves. And it's one of the reasons why he has been so deeply, deeply received. He truly is the epitome of a servant leader. And so your story is so compelling, Inky, and you have told it so many times, but every time someone hears it, even if they've heard it before, they pick up new things. So walk us through, talk to us. It's your story. Let's walk through it.
It's just like you just stated, like every time I share it, individuals capture and extract different things from it. But also, it's like the longer I live with the incident, it's almost as if life is teaching me constantly at different phases and stages in life. And so, born to a 16-year-old mother, taken back to a 2-bedroom home with 14 people, and growing up in inner city Atlanta, and just had this dream, man, to to make it to the NFL because I wanted my family to have a better way of life. And my whole life, coaches, community members, family members, teachers, I just felt extremely blessed because I've always had people to help me. My circumstances were what they were, but I've always had people that have seen things in me when I couldn't see it in myself that's ushered me into the next level of my life. So I ended up becoming the first one in my family to go to college, had a full scholarship to play at the University of Tennessee. And in my junior year, it was looking as if I was about to become a high draft pick. And the second game, we're playing against the University of Air Force. And I just go out to make a routine tackle, fourth quarter of the game. And at the point of contact, when I hit the guy, it seemed as if every breath in my body left. 2 hours later, I found myself in the emergency room fighting for my life. And the next morning, I woke up and my life has never been the same again. I had a brachial plexus avulsion. I ruptured the main artery in my chest. I got paralysis in my right arm. I got cut 6 times down my left thigh, one time across the left side of my neck, one time across the right side of my neck, twice through my right ribs, cut out my right pec. And so I went through an injury to where it changed my life. Literally, a lot of people would say, man, he had a football injury, but it literally changed my life. I ruptured the main artery in my chest. I went through some surgeries that really made me reflect and just search, like do some soul searching. And so when I came out on the other side of that, not only was I a different individual physically, I was a different person mentally, just from what I had encountered, my perspective about life. Every single day when I got up, I felt extremely blessed. And also it just blessed me to live life with a certain level of gratitude.
You know, Inky, I cannot even fathom being in those darkest moments after you woke up from that first surgery, recognizing your life was forever changed and you had no idea what was going on. We just talked about that as dark as that moment was, it was not going to be the first of those dark moments, and there were many even more dark moments to come. And this was not a linear process. It was messy. It was at times feeling impossible. I can't begin to talk about what that could be like. And as we're listening to this, I have a personal request for you. I have a dear friend who right now is in critical condition. 1 week ago, her life was bright. She was a senior executive of a major organization, and she got poison ivy, and it went to her bloodstream, and she became septic, and it was undiagnosed. And today, she's fighting for her life. Every extremity has been impacted. She has been through major surgeries. And I was thinking about you today, about divine appointments. And she's going to be listening to this podcast when she's able to listen to this. And the depth of despair that you felt, I'm sure she can fully identify right now because her life has spun in a direction that she can't even fathom. Talk to her at that level today as we talk to our audience. And everybody else, I'm glad they can join in, but this is a conversation between the three of us today. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oftentimes when life changes, just the fragility of life, oftentimes you can forecast change when things happen for most people in life. Like if something happens with a career, sometimes if an ACL happens and they tell you, hey man, you got 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. But when your life changes on a dime, like you get poison ivy, something happens, gets into your bloodstream, and now, you're fighting for your life or you're dealing with something, that's really serious, it makes you search for things, whether it be meaning, whether it be purpose. Like you're just searching, like, man, where did this come from? How did this happen? What am I supposed to do with this? And so I'll never forget when my life changed, I just thought about the day. I'm just thinking about the day because one of the questions that I would get was, hey, man, did you do anything different? Like, did you wear any different pads? Was anything different in your preparation? Like the day that your life changed, was anything different? I was like, no, man, I did the exact same thing I've been doing since I was a kid. My preparation, the exact same drills, right? I wore the same pads when I got to college from the time I started. Like everything was the same. I listened to the same music, but the outcome was totally different. And I was reading something and it said, life is not a quest for power, right? Life is not a quest for prestige. Life is a quest for meaning. And it says, how do you give suffering meaning? Like when you go through adversity, opposition, just adverse situations, how do you give it meaning? You give it meaning by the way that you respond to it, right? You hear people say, it's never about what happens to you, it's about how you respond to it. And it sounds cliche, but it's so true, right? In life, it's a quest for meaning. When we go through different things, what's the meaning behind this? How are we going to shape this, right? And so I always say to people, perspective is so important. Being able to take a situation and just mental engineering and being able to take it and apply and add value to environments that you go into, right? Like my arm and my hand is paralyzed, but my purpose, my meaning isn't. And so we give suffering, we give adversity, we give opposition meaning. But it's just like you said, it's not a linear process. It's messy, it's tears, it's pain, right? It's uncertainty. But if you can find a place, if you can find a gap somewhere in the process to where when you capture meaning, and the reason I use the word capture is very intentional, because when you search for something and you finally find it, you capture it. And I remember they were trying to send me to a different visit, and I had been going to the doctor at this point, man, for years, for probably 4 years at this point. And they came to me with this outcome and they say, hey, Inky, we want to send you here. They got these different devices. And I was like, man, I think I'm cool. I'm cool. I don't want to go. It's like, what you mean you don't want to go? And at this point, 4 years in, I wasn't really seeing results, right? Like things weren't going my way. And one of the guys was like, man, what do you mean? Like, we're trying to find, an outcome. We're trying to find a result. And I said, man, I finally captured peace. I've been searching for it, man. Throughout this process, I've been on an emotional roller coaster. And so I would say to her and I would say to people, life is a quest for meaning, right? But when we go through suffering and adversity and opposition, the way we find meaning is the way that we respond to the things that we encounter.
That's so compelling. One of the things that I talk about with my audiences often is this statement that you will always get what you look for.
And that's so true.
But you have to make a conscious decision that is not a one-moment decision. It's not a one-time decision. It is a commitment that I choose to look for this. I make that. It's not luck. It's not that. It's you made a conscious decision that you were going to look for meaning in the midst of this unbelievable storm. How do you respond to that?
That's good, man. That's good.
That's
That's so good.
Here, you've been at the bottom of the barrel, and there is, I think, in the scriptures of people who have dealt with incredible adversity, that somehow it became a blessing for other people. But I've been in situations that I've said, I'm glad that I'm going to be a blessing to other people, but why do I have to pay the price? You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, I wish I could say I was so noble that I just grabbed it and I'm
Absolutely.
up for it. Make me a martyr. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're laughing, you're responding. What are you thinking?
It's so true, man. It's because I've had that feeling. And I think, if we're all honest to a certain extent, when you go through things that you don't expect and, life is just challenging sometimes, man. And you go through some hard things like, just being transparent and vulnerable, man. I went through something recently and it just hit me out of nowhere. Life was going great. Life was going phenomenal, man. Like I was having a great time and like life was clicking on all cylinders. And it hadn't been clicking like this for a while. I'm talking about, on all cylinders, family, business, kids, extracurricular, parents. Life was just clicking on all cylinders. And out of nowhere, man, I just get hit with a blow, man, that like brought tears to my eyes, man. It took it out of me. And within the process, what I went through health wise, when I spoke to the physicians and I had to have a minor procedure. And when they had to do it, at first they were telling me, Fred, like, hey, we're gonna just schedule this out in, 3-4 weeks, a month or something. We'll just schedule it out, let you prepare for it, get things, straight. So when you come back in, I'm like, okay, great, man. I can have some time to fast, to pray, to get my mental state correct and just get in the right state of mind for this procedure. And then the head physician comes in and he was like, we were thinking we have to do this tonight. And I was like, tonight? He was like, yeah, like in the next couple of hours. I think it will be beneficial for your health. And I was like, tonight. And when he said it, Fred, like a tear just started coming down my face because I felt as if I wasn't prepared. I just wasn't prepared because I thought I would have a month, weeks. And when I got on the other side of it, I remember speaking to my wife and I said, I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful that it transpired the way that it did. In the moment, I resisted. If I had an option to say, no, I don't want to do it right now, I probably would have said it, but I didn't have an option. And when I did it and got on the other side of it, I felt like you was just stating, Fred, like, you're like, man, like, this is beneficial to people. I'm at the hospital. People are like, man, you responding great. Things are going great. And you're like, man, like, what's the purpose behind this? But once I got on the other side of it, I was like, man, you know what? Thank you, God, I went through that. Thank you, God, I'm on the other side of it in the space and place that I'm in now. That's why I was laughing because it's so true. It's so true.
We expend so much energy when we're going through adversity trying to negotiate the terms of how that adversity should be coming to us. Just like you saying, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
And I've found that life will happen on its terms, not on our terms.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to try to control it and use all that energy, you're going to miss the opportunity to squeeze everything out of that moment. I think of a catcher that's catching a knuckleball pitcher and a major league knuckleball pitcher. You know the pitch is coming. You know it. You don't know where it's going to come. And you could be digging it out of the dirt. You could be jumping 3 feet above, trying to catch the thing that's going over your head to your right. And life is about being that catcher, being in a moment of ongoing anticipation.
It's good.
It's coming. It's coming. And I've made a commitment in my life that I am not going to be surprised. Life is going to bring what it's going to bring. But I make a commitment that I'm not going to act like a victim. I'm not going to act like I've been treated poorly. I'm going to catch what comes and I'm going to be ready to respond. That's your life, Inky. That's your life.
Great. That's great, man. That's awesome.
So I want to ask you a question that I don't know if you've ever been asked. You know, none of us ever get to where we are as an island to ourselves. None of us. And when you talk about the people who were there for you, people who were reaching out their hand in a moment that you didn't think that you could take it another moment. But what about those people that were not encouragers? What about those people who drained you of hope when you needed it the most? I have found in those journeys, those are among the darkest of the darkest. How did you get through those moments? Can you think of those moments when you needed encouragement and someone came in and was a massive Eeyore? What would you say to people when they're encountering those kinds of folks in the midst of their transition, their change, their reformation, they're starting over again? What would you say about those moments?
I would say, I remember, just in my younger years of just trying to develop, just as a young man, as a athlete, being placed in different leadership positions. And I remember being so frustrated just about different situations, different circumstances, because I would always live with so much expectation that people would respond and do things the way that I would do them. And so when people would do certain things or say certain things, oftentimes my response would be something to the extent or the tune of, man, I would never do that. Like, how could they do that? Like, how could they treat somebody like that? How could they respond like that? How could they, handle the situation like that? And so even when people would do certain things to me, it would frustrate me because I would always look at the situation through the lens of, I would never treat you that way. Like, I would never do something to you like that. If you're going through something, man, I would never turn my back on you. And I remember having a older gentleman in my life, and he said, hey, man, we don't deal with people and treat people on the premise of how they deal with us and how they treat us. So you treat people and you deal with people based upon your morality, your principles, and your foundation and how you live your life and the things that are true to you. And when he told me that, and I start trying to just put it into practice, it freed me. It put me at a certain level of peace. It changed my perspective. And the thing that it did, most importantly, it made me stop taking people's behavior and actions personally. Because at one point in my life, I would just take everything personal. When somebody would do or say or respond to a situation in a manner or fashion that I wouldn't, I would often take it personal. And when I stopped taking it personal, it created the space and place for empathy and grace for individuals. Just understanding that, hey, man, maybe they didn't mean anything by it. They were just looking at the situation from their point of view, from their perspective. Maybe they weren't thinking about it from both sides of the fence. And so I started just looking at the situation and trying to create a buffer and a space and place for grace and empathy, and just understanding that, man, how someone acts, you never know what people are going through. You never know what people are dealing with. And so don't take the actions, don't take the words, and don't take the responses personal. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you.
Boy, it's one thing to say that, it's another thing to do it, isn't it, brother?
Absolutely, 100%. That's why I said I had to start putting it into practice. I had to start, it's a daily practice, man. Absolutely.
I'm with you. And I'm sitting here listening to you and going, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
In the world we live in right now in the United States, I find myself wanting to be offended every hour.
Absolutely.
Wanting to, thinking I'm so self-righteous because I am not thinking like that person or acting like that person. And yet finding myself living in a constant state of anxiety and disruption, not peace.
Absolutely.
And you've just reminded me that the path for peace in the midst of chaos is not what the other person is doing or not doing, or what they should do or not do. It's, are we going to lean into our principle at that moment? Are we going to respond based upon the non-negotiable principles of, I'm going to choose to listen deeply when I want to yell at you. I'm going to really dig in here and look for something good in you right now when I don't feel anything good from you. I'm going to choose not to go to judgment, but I want to come to patience and grace in humility, that somehow I don't feel prideful because I'm not like you. Man, these days are testing us like never before.
100%. 100%. And I think that's the beauty of life. That's one of the things that I love about life. It's just when you can be around people that are not like you. It's like they say in marriage often, or relationships, opposites attract. Like when you can be around people that have a different perspective and you not take it personal, I think there's beauty in that, but also just the true essence of character. Like if we're around a group of individuals, the true essence of character is not what we do when everything goes our way. It's not what we do when people treat us right. It's not what we do when people say what we want them to say. The true essence of character is when people disagree with us, when people don't see things the way we see them, when people don't handle us or treat us the way that we would treat certain people. And then you see people's response, or you see people's perspective, or you see people search for the space and place of understanding. That's the true essence of who they are at their core. And I think, like you said, life tests that every single week. I feel like life is just a training ground for constant character development as individuals.
Wow. You know, Inky, I find that when I am most offended by what other people say to me, and you and I are both people that we're at the tip of the sword. And when you live your life, when we've been given the privilege of living our lives at the tip of the sword, man, there is a price.
Absolutely.
I mean, I woke up at 4:30 yesterday in the morning, and I don't know why, but I went to our website, our company's website, and I don't know why, but I looked on the review section. I never do that. And this person came on and just slayed me. And you could tell this person had some issues. But I found myself not being able to go back to sleep. It ruined my day all day yesterday going, is that true? Could I be so out of touch? And I found that I had to reestablish yesterday my belief in myself. And I have found that when I'm thinking that I am not enough, I can let those spears go into me and cause me to react in ways that I'm not proud of. And yet when I'm reminding that I am enough, that I am a God-given person of infinite worth because of He created me and the gifts that He gave me, what was the place of belief in this struggle for you? The belief in yourself, the adhering to belief in faith, the belief in others. What would you say to someone listening to this about the importance of belief to get you through the struggle? because there's really not an other side. There's another door that gives you entrance to another room on the other side.
Absolutely. That's great. That's awesome, man.
What would you say about the place and importance of belief in the midst of the struggle to
Absolutely.
claim victory over these moments of darkness in our lives?
I would say just belief. Belief, like that word is so important. Like words like belief and hope, like it's so important and it carries such strength. But I would say belief in the midst of the struggle. One of the things that, I've always kind of anchored myself on was just the belief that, something good is going to come out of whatever I was dealing with or facing or handling. I remember I was studying just optimism and positivity because people would always say, hey, man, you got to stay positive or stay optimistic. And so I was like, okay, let me study this thing. What's optimism? What is it tied to? Being optimistic. When you hear someone say that, what is it? And it's being fully committed to the belief system that things are going to be okay and work out, even when things are hard, right? Just being optimistic, being fully committed to the belief system that things are going to work out and things are going to be okay, even when things are hard. Because oftentimes, if things are going great, it's working out, it's clicking, it's easy to believe that things are going to be okay, things are going to work out. That's great, right? It's just like the Bible scripture, Romans 8:28. And it says, and we know that all things work to the good of those who love the Lord, who are called according to his will and his purpose. It didn't say some things, it didn't say most things. It's like James chapter 1, when it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kind, because the testing of your faith goes on to produce perseverance, and perseverance must finish its race so that you may be complete and lacking nothing. And so when you hear the word perseverance, you're like, oh man, like that means I'm going to go through a challenge or I'm going to go through something. I'm going to need perseverance. I'm going to need the ability to persevere through something. And you don't need perseverance if everything is going great. You need perseverance in the midst of struggle. You need perseverance in the midst of challenges. And so just being optimistic and fully committed to the belief system in the midst of adversity, opposition, and struggle, that things are going to work out and things are going to be okay, even when it's hard. Stay committed to that belief system because it's always easier when things are going great. But when we get punched in the mouth, like Mike Tyson said, it's one of my favorite quotes in the world. Everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And the great thing about life punches us all in the mouth, and we have to be fully committed to something that is going to work out.
That is so great. And the plan will happen if the belief system is there. And it's when you get punched in the mouth, it's, man, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Got a broken jaw.
Absolutely.
My face is swollen.
Absolutely.
I had a photo op tomorrow. My life, I don't know what good is going to come out of this, but I choose to believe that it will.
Absolutely.
And it's that thing. You're going to get what you look for. And the people that I have found that in the midst of life, if you live life long enough with depth and passion and conviction, you're going to be disappointed. You are going to have those moments that every aspect of you is going to be broken.
Absolutely.
And yet there's something that holds on even without evidence. I know what I know, what I know. I have found those are the people that somehow at the end of their lives, they look back, they don't know how they made it, they did it, but somehow they leave a legacy that is going to last generations long after they're gone. And that's you, Inky.
Thank you.
Thank you. What do you, as we're talking, I keep thinking about that the impact of our lives is never by luck. It's never by accident. It's based upon the choices and the convictions that we choose to hold as sacred in our lives.
Mm.
And I've seen many people who will have the conviction that looks like this. Life sucks. You get up, you go through the routines, and then you die.
Mm.
There are so many fatalists who live today with that kind of a mindset, and they get what they look for.
It's good.
And we're not talking shallow being happy. We're not talking about put a smile on your face.
Mm.
There are days that it is just not appropriate to put a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
perseverance is not smiling. Perseverance is gritting with every aspect of your being. So just get me through the next second, the
Absolutely.
next hour.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is hard.
Yeah, man.
But there's no such thing as impact without paying the price of hardship.
That's good. That's good.
What would you say, Inky? I mean, I feel as I'm listening to you that I am being mentored right now by someone who's not only talking it, but you walked it. And what a privilege it is to be here on the other side listening to you. As we wrap this time up, to my friend who right now, whose life has just taken a horrific turn, and she's battling for her life day after day right now, and she's got all these thoughts just like what you went through. And there are other people listening to that are in the midst of a trial, midst of trying to figure out how in the world that they are going to rebound from this failure, from this massive surprise, this uninvited tragedy. What would you say to all of those people who are yearning for an ounce of hope to get through the next moment?
The thing I would say to just individuals that are yearning just for an ounce of hope to get through the next moment, one of my favorite quotes states, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is that small, still voice at the end of the day saying, 'I'll try again tomorrow.'" Because oftentimes when you think about courage, like if you thought about just the picture of courage, you think about strength. You think about, somebody beating their chest. You think about somebody, standing up, flexing. But the quote says, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is a small, still voice at the end of the day saying, 'I'm going to try again tomorrow.'" Right? Just mustering up the strength, the perspective to say, tomorrow, man, I'm going to give it my best shot. But also, don't waste the experience. Oftentimes, when we go through experiences in life, if it doesn't go the way we want it to go, if it doesn't turn out the way we want it to turn out, I feel as if as people, we waste a lot of experiences. Appreciate the experience. I feel like I used to say as an athlete, people would ask me oftentimes, "Hey, man, do you have any regrets?" And I would always say, "No, man, I don't have any regrets. I don't live my life that way." And it wasn't until my children started growing up, it wasn't until my 3 little sisters started growing up, and I was just watching them as little athletes doing their extracurricular, and I would watch their frustration. I would watch them be upset, and I would talk to them. And I would often say to them, "Hey, appreciate the experience, appreciate the opportunity to complete, appreciate the gifts that God has blessed you with, man, to be out with ability, to go out and compete. Appreciate it." And my little sister asked me one day after a game, she was playing at the University of Kentucky at the time, playing basketball. And I watched her play and I was like, man, she just looks as if she's not having fun. Here she is at the University of Kentucky, full scholarship, time of her life. And she just looks as if she's not having fun. And that night after the game, we went to eat and she said, "Hey, big bro, I got a question for you." I was like, "What's up?" She's like, "Do you have any regrets, just as a former athlete or just as a person?" And I thought about it, but I thought about it differently. I said, "Actually, I do." She said, "What is it?" I said, "I didn't always appreciate every facet of the process, the good, the bad, the wins, the losses, the successes, the failures, because we need all of these moments to shape us into the individuals that we're destined to become. But somehow it's natural. We just want to extract the good, right? We just want when things go well. We just want the success, but it's in the valley. It's in the wilderness. It's on the top of the mountain. All of it encompasses and shapes who we are as individuals. And so don't waste the experiences. Be where your feet are. Find gratitude every single day. Find something to be grateful for every single day. Search for it. Capture it every single day. It's one of the most valuable things we possess as people, just the ability to find gratitude. It says life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are we doing to help other people? Every single day, find gratitude through the experiences that we encounter. There's good in it.
You know, probably the worst day of my life, Inky, was the day that I lost my brother in a car wreck. He and 3 other boys perished after they were hit head on by a school bus coming back to school in West Virginia. And I remember there was a verse that I hung on to. And my favorite verse is the verse that talks about that when God is with you, there are days that you can soar like an eagle and you can run without growing weary. But I have found the most critical days are not those days you have the ability to soar like an eagle or run without growing weary. It's those moments when you can take one step, 1 inch at a time, walking and not fainting. That is courage. That is resilience. It's in those moments that no one will celebrate you made it an inch today. You hit your head on the pillow on a day that you didn't know you were going to be able to make it. That is self-leadership. You know, walking without fainting, an inch at a time, is sometimes our greatest victories in our lives. And thank you for reminding us of that today. I hope that you have been, you've enjoyed this time as much as I have.
Absolutely, man. I loved it. Loved it, man. Fed my spirit. Absolutely.
We're going to do some good things together. I can't wait till you speak at our conference as one of our keynotes in June. And I look forward to building a friendship with you. It's amazing how God brings like-minded people together to accomplish things that are far greater than what they could have done by themselves.
Absolutely. 100%, man. 100%. Energy attracts, divine appointment, God orchestrates. Absolutely.
You bet, brother. I want to say to our audience, take this in. It is fuel for the fire. And Inky, I want to thank you for joining us on the Leadership Initiative, one of the most moving podcasts I've ever been involved in. And to those of you who are listening to this, breathe it in. Leadership is not about the great moments. It's about those moments of quietness when we're all by ourselves and we just take one step when we didn't think that we could even take that step. Embrace hardship, do the hard things, lean on people, commit to see the good because you're going to get what you look for. Thank you, Inky. Thank you to all of us. Thank you for joining us today on the Leadership Initiative. Tune in to our next Think Tank with InitiativeOne.
Thank you.